It's the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast with Alex Trataros, John Meleka, and Raisi on the beat. Let's go.
What's good, everyone? Alex Trataros here with another Jets episode of the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast. And with me is always my buddy, my coach, my pal, the man with the plan, the one and only John Meleka. Before we ask John how he's doing today, guys, you know what it is. And ladies, everyone out there, you know what it is. If you listen to this podcast and you're not subscribed already, please make sure to do so. We're on Apple, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon, Alexa, Stitcher, you name it. We are there. If you listen to us on Apple or Spotify, please make sure to give us a 5-star rating. And if you listen to us on Apple, please make sure to leave a comment. If you don't know already, we're on YouTube. Okay, so make sure to look for Knicks, Jets, etc. Subscribe, hit that notification bell. That way you know when a new episode drops. When you watch a video, hit the like button, leave a comment, engage with us, add to the conversation. Like I said, you guys keep adding on to the bourbon conversation. Love it. Keep going. We appreciate it. And you're going to probably want to add to this one, too. We got some talks about wide receivers, draft stuff. You know what it is for the New York Jets. It hasn't really changed, but it has changed. You know what it is. And while you're over there, we got another podcast, Winning Picks Weekly. John, video producer Greg, our guy Chip Murphy. They go down everything. NFL slate, they got you. Basketball, they got you. You got NBA playoffs right now, they got you. March Madness, they got you. Masters, it happened. I get it, John. It already happened. They got you. Baseball, they got you. You need futures, parlays, overs, unders, money line. They got you. Don't worry. So make sure to go check them out. And the last and certainly not least, please make sure to follow us on all social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You name it, we are there. Mr. Meleka, Dr. Meleka.
What's up, man?
Counselor.
How you doing?
How you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm good, dude. I mean, I got my Easter coming up this week, so long week for me. We got
I get to celebrate 2 Easters.
No, just one. We got NBA basketball playoffs going hard. We're 1 week away from the NFL draft. I'll be at MetLife. Super hyped for that. NHL playoffs right around the corner. Already talking some trash with our guy Shukri Wrights out of Boston. If we might get the Bruins, that'd be pretty interesting. I mean, the Rangers are easily the best team in New York after NYCFC. Go check out that last episode with Jordan Griffith if you want to hear some more about some soccer. But dude, things are good right now. I mean, I would love that. I would love if the Knicks were playing. You know, that would make me a little more anxious right now, but there's nothing that's making me more anxious on this planet right now than this Jets draft. So I'm honestly okay with where I am. I need the draft to come, man. I'm done with this, dude. I don't know how you guys feel at home. I don't know how you feel, Alex. But the speculation, like, it's gone through the ringer so many times. All the speculation, all the rumors, all the quote unquote smoke, that it's like almost a joke at this point. Like, I was joking around in one of my group chats. I think there's 15 people going in the top 10. There's about 55 people going in the first round. So I just need this to start to get rolling. There are rumors that are starting to get a little, the smoke is starting to get a little thicker, right? We'll get into that a little bit. But before that, dude, how you doing, man? I know we're really into this Boston versus Nets series. Toronto putting up a good game versus Philly right now too. I mean, I called that game 3.
If you're a Knicks fan, just to stop you, if you're a Knicks fan watching these playoffs, it has to be brutal, man. You got the Celtics versus the Nets. You got to watch Philly against Toronto. Then you got to watch Miami against Atlanta. It's gross. I swear to God, if Indiana was in here, I'd be losing my ultimate shit if I had to watch Indiana in here.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, but now that you say that, it sounds like the Knicks hate everyone.
Yes.
That's the whole East. It's just Milwaukee. Yes. That's the only team that's okay.
Yes. I mean, and Chicago's in this too. Let's not forget Chicago. Chicago's. I mean, I have nothing against the Bucks. Don't really care about the Wizards. I mean, the
I
Wizards
always
aren't in
hate the Bulls. The Bulls ruined my life for so long. I have a thing with the Bulls. If you have a thing with Indiana, how can you not have a thing with the Bulls?
I do have a thing with the Bulls.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's just the Bucks.
I'm saying Milwaukee. Milwaukee's not the team. I don't really.
So we like Milwaukee here.
I don't really care about Milwaukee. I don't even really care about the Pistons. Like,
I'm upset about Devin Booker though, man.
That's rough.
His hamstring, but Luka is gonna come back. I'm excited. I know this is the NFL pod, the Jets pod, but I mean NFL playoffs are
this is Knicks, Jets, etc. Okay, this is Knicks, Jets, etc. All right, we're not talking about Knicks. We're talking about the etc. right now. Okay, we're big basketball aficionados. It's covered. It's under the title. Okay, that's why we put etc. All right. When we were discussing this entire title for us as attorneys, we're like, oh, what else do we talk about? I don't know. Let's just leave it as etc. We talk about everything. There you go. Wait. Well, we may even do a Snapple ranking. Okay, we got some Snapple competition out here. So who the hell knows?
It's true. It's true.
But yeah, I'm doing fine, man. Watching this Nets Celtics game. It's rough not seeing the Knicks in it after last season, but I'm with you, bro. When it comes to the Jets and draft, wide receiver speculation, especially when it comes to AJ Brown and Deebo Samuel, they're going everywhere and nowhere at the same time. The Jets, you think, I still can't get over, like, apparently wide receivers a need at 10. I still don't get that one.
Let's talk about it, bro. Let's start here, man, because we're the Deebo Samuel stuff. We've been talking about it for quite a while. The three wide receivers, right? Deebo Samuel, AJ Brown, and McLaurin. It's the new free agency in the NFL where you could essentially force a trade where they don't really have no trade clauses in the NFL. You could force a trade by saying, I need an extension. And if you don't agree to my terms, I'm going to force a trade. And any self-respecting team requires an agreement on an extension before you make the trade. That is why the Jets were not in on Amari Cooper, because the Cowboys refused to wait to see if they would negotiate an extension, and the Browns just didn't care, right? And then on the other side of that, they had the Tyreek Hill situation where the Chiefs did allow Tyreek Hill to figure out the extension stuff, and he got to choose whether he wants to go to Miami or New York. And we've heard too many think pieces about Tyreek Hill and him choosing one team over the other. But that's essentially what's happening here, man. We have Deebo Samuel. We have AJ Brown. Let's stick with those two first because those are the top two rumors. McLaurin just is in the same spot. But who knows if Washington's trying to trade right now? They're being federally investigated. They just got a new team name. I don't know if they're trying to really make maneuvers at this exact moment. I don't know if they're trying to call Joe Douglas. So let's just stick with the two guys who are super related to this team, whether it's Deebo Samuel through the coaching staff or whether that's AJ Brown through Elijah Moore, right? AJ Brown came out and said that Elijah Moore helped him during suicidal times and mental, times. That's his brother, all right? So basically his brother plays on our team. And then on the other side, we have Deebo Samuel who played with LaFleur and played with Saleh. So there's connections, but why this is so important, why this is leading our Jets episode is because, today came out, Ian Rappaport and a bunch of other NFL analysts, they said that Deebo Samuel has officially requested a trade from the 49ers, no more extension talks. Then it came out that he actually requested this last week, and it's just coming out today. Okay, so that's an interesting note to keep in mind. The second part of that is he scrubbed his Instagram, his Twitter. I'd like to hear your thoughts on all that stuff. This cyber warfare going on, and so did AJ Brown. So, what are your thoughts just on the saga right now? It seems like you're frustrated with the whole free agency, with the whole rumor situation, trade me, not trade me. What are your thoughts right now on the Jets rumors and AJ Brown and Deebo Samuel? Because I'm going to tell you something, Alex. There's a lot of Jets fans out there that are so sick of the quote unquote Jets were interested, until, they called until the last minute and then, we get burned at the end. They're so sick of it. At this point, as soon as a name comes up, I have text messages just saying no, with no context. I know what it's about. It's just oh, here we go again. Don't do this to me. I'm vulnerable. You know what I mean? What are your thoughts on these veteran number one bona fide wide receiver and the rumors to the Jets?
I mean, if the Jets can get it done, obviously you go get it done, but not at all costs, right? We talked about it last week. You, myself, video producer Greg, who's with us today, and Greg, you could chime in on this as well. But if you're going to go get Deebo Samuel, go get Deebo Samuel. And I don't mean trade your first round picks because I still don't think he's even worth a first round pick because we look at the resume again. And you're also, and this is the negotiation standpoint that they have with the 49ers, right? It's that he wants an extension because he's acting like a running back. He's not playing the true position of a wide receiver because Jimmy Garoppolo can't get him the ball past 10, 15 yards. And he's like, yo, I'm doing more than what I'm supposed to right now. You're asking me to be a wide receiver. You asked me to be a running back.
Call himself a wide back.
But dude, he is like you talked about. You're like, well, he had rushing touchdowns, and I'm like, well, I want to see my receiver do more of that because I want to know he's an actual receiver than a running back. And he's acknowledging it. Why? Because as a running back, you're worn down. It's different. It's
you get devalued in the NFL. It's crazy, dude. It's crazy that him doing this extra thing, like being able to also carry the ball, meaning they want you to get the ball in your hand so often and so fast that we don't even want to give it to Garoppolo. Like you said, look, we just hand it up. We want you to have it. And somehow that's making him worse, or devalued.
Because the thing is that he knows in that system what's going to happen. He's going to get the ball the same amount of times, if not more, and he's going to wear his body out. And in the NFL, right, wide receivers can have a longer career than a running back. Running back is max 10 years. Between 20 to 30, that's where you go. We've seen wide receivers go to 33, 34, 35. You know, let's not forget, we had Derek Mason on the New York Jets. He was like 34, 35, right? Man, it was over.
I mean, this is like normal. I mean, even, Demaryius Thomas, rest in peace.
Yeah, exactly. And so he knows that. But he knows that if you're going to ask him to do this and an NFL contract is not fully guaranteed, then yeah, I need my money. I need this extension. I need something guaranteed. Where's my money? Where's my money? I want it now. But no, I totally understand that. So him asking to be traded is because he wants to go to a system probably where he can still do that, still do the whole end arounds like you see Braxton Berrios do for our team and what he does for the 49ers. But he wants to be an actual wide receiver, get paid, and have a long career because he wants to make money. And that's fair. That is totally fair. So that I understand why he wants out. As the New York Jets now, if you have to go trade second and third round picks to go get him in a package deal, do it. Like you go
the Tyreek Hill package.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
There's a reason that's out there, man. There's a reason that the exact details were sent out by Shefty, and that has to have come from the Jets. It has to have.
And look, man, they're trying to. We've talked about even with the Texans when it came to Deshaun Watson. You kept saying it. You're negotiating through the reporters. You're negotiating out in the open because and for the Jets, they're like, look, we're willing to offer this package. They're trying to get Zach Wilson, that guy, okay, to move ahead. That's why when we get conversations about Jameson Williams going at 10, it's like, come on, guys. Come on. That's ridiculous.
I don't see any wide receiver in the draft, nor on the free agency / trade market that is worth a 10th pick. Call me crazy, man. If you point to Tyreek Hill's age, just stop talking. Okay, because that has nothing to do with why he wasn't worth a first-round pick. He wasn't worth a first-round pick because we're about to pay him $70 million guaranteed. And if you want to give a 10th pick plus $70 million guaranteed, he better be. I don't even know what to tell you.
Dude, he better be. No, he has to be. No, if you're giving up the,
it better be Chase. It better be Lamar Chase.
If you're giving up the 10th pick, that has to be the last piece of your roster to make up like a title run. That is when you're going. That's pushing the chips in. That's not the Jets. They're still a rebuilding team. Okay, they got to be competitive this season. We talked about it. There has to be some level of competence that we haven't seen over the last couple of years. But they still need those draft picks to build a team. So that's why 4 and 10 are off the table. You want to talk about second round picks? You want to talk about third round picks? You want to talk about packaging a couple of those things?
We have a couple fourths.
Yo, add it all together. Go get Deebo Samuel.
Yeah,
that makes sense. I agree.
And listen, dude, all first round picks are not equal. All first round picks are not made the same. A fourth pick is obviously different than the 10th pick. And everybody's really hyped about next year's draft, especially because it's a big quarterback draft. Take it, dude. Take next year's first round pick, especially if you're the 49ers. right? You have Garoppolo that you don't know what's going on. You have Trey Lance that you obviously don't trust, right? Because we have brains when we're watching the game. If you want, you could defer to next year. And then, you're Shanahan. You're not getting fired. You know that this is a burned year. You know what I'm trying to say? You know that you have a first-round pick going into next year. Now you have two. You have yours and the Jets. So you could even package those, move up. And so it kind of gives you leverage and your books are clean because you're not paying a wide receiver / running back, who, to be honest with you, hasn't always been healthy. You're going to pay him, let's say $75 million. You know what I'm trying to say?
And that's why he's also not worth a first round pick. He has not always been healthy. You can't give up a 10th, even though it's not a deep quarterback draft in this year. And we've had talks, or we've heard, not that we've had talks, but there's reports that saying that they'd have talks. I think it was Connor Hughes saying that if Elijah Moore was in this draft, he's a top 15 pick in this year's draft. I would be hesitant.
That. At the same time, I would also I love Elijah Moore. I know you love Elijah Moore too, so I don't mind bringing this up to you. If he was in this draft, I still don't know if I want him at 10. I just don't know. You know what I'm trying to say? I would still be like, I still kind of want.
It all depends.
But it
all depends. It all depends, like where we are. It all depends on if you're telling me that the team was competent. We're not looking to have a wide receiver right now that can make an impact this season. I'm cool with it. But the fact is that this team is trying to compete and they need someone who can make an impact right now. We keep saying that and we keep reading that. There's not a wide receiver in this draft that's going to make an impact right now.
So it's funny. It's funny. The 49ers today went to go see London. You think that's smoke? Very curious timing.
I think that is smoke. Look.
There's a reason for the Deebo Samuel came out today.
Actually,
you know what I'm trying to say? It's been out for a week, bro. He requested it last week. Why is everything coming out today, Alex? I have a tinfoil hat on. What's going on? What happened today?
Let me say something for the Deebo for the 49ers being interested in a wide receiver right now with this pick. This makes sense. You know how I just said if it was a year where you're not needing an impact player, they got Trey Lance in the back. Okay. If you go Trey Lance this year, what are you expecting to do? Especially if you trade Deebo Samuel. This is a year where I could say we can burn this year, develop some guys, and move in that direction. So I actually don't think there's that much smoke. Actually, no, I think there is some smoke. I think there actually is some legitimate to. I think there's an actual fire over there for the 49ers aspect to go with the wide receiver if they do trade Deebo Samuel. Because at this point, what are you playing for? Especially if you want to go in that direction if you're not invested in Jimmy Garoppolo.
But they don't have a high pick. You know what I'm trying to say? They can't afford London at this point. So it's just interesting. You know what I'm trying to say? It all feels like hijinks, man. It all feels like, hey, Jets, I know you're not offering your 10, but we want your 10, and we're going to go see London today, and everything's going to come out today. But meanwhile, if the Jets know anything, they know. If Ian Rappaport knows, then the Jets know that the trade was in there from last week.
Let me ask you this question. And it's not meant to be, it's meant to just get a pulse. Who do you like more, Tyreek Hill or Deebo Samuel?
Well, as a person, it's not even close. It's obviously Deebo Samuel because off the field, Tyreek Hill's a horrible person. So I don't even want to root for him anyway. I would have loved to have him on the team because he's good at football, but I don't like him. I would never buy his jersey. I would never want
strictly player.
I don't even want to see children wear his jersey at MetLife. You know what I'm trying to say? I would feel weird about that. But if strictly player. But as a player, I'm gonna want. It just depends. Do you want the strictly wide receiver guy that's gonna get you mad possession, like possession football, like he needs the ball, or do you want the gadget guy? I know that Deebo doesn't want to be the gadget guy. They both have the yards after catch. If you ask me to choose one, like if you say, John, you have the two, the same package for Tyreek Hill, and you could have either Deebo or Hill. I have to take in the age. I have to take in the injury, right? So the age thing goes to Deebo. The injury thing goes to Hill. Off the field goes to Deebo. I would just take Deebo, to be honest with you. That's what I would do.
Deebo. So you're going to stick with Deebo.
I would stick with Deebo. But if you're throwing A.J. Brown into the mix, it's not even close. If you're throwing A.J. Brown into this mix, man, because that's what I want to jump into. Just real quick on your thoughts on AJ, and you can give him right now. I would take AJ Brown over these guys. If the Titans are holding, honestly, a flame to my butt for the 10th pick, I'm gonna actually think about it and get something back.
but
not
that's
just
different.
AJ for the 10th. But AJ for me does change the game a little bit. I still don't want to give up the 10th pick, but you could kind of hold me on the phone a little bit. You know what I mean? If it's AJ Brown.
But that's different because when you look at AJ Brown and who he is as a player, I'd be more comfortable giving up. And this is where I'm saying, like, this was tough because even though I made the statement saying you're pushing your chips all in, AJ Brown is just a different type of wide receiver who is 24, who hasn't even reached his prime yet. And this is probably the exception, I would say. All right, you want to say I'm giving up the 10th round pick for a guy who in this draft would be a top 10 guy? Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. AJ Brown in this draft, I'm drafting number 10.
I would go for that.
DK, I don't know. Are you taking DK at 10? I know he won 14 and then he improved. So I guess
I would take DK at 10.
So you would trade the 10th easy for DK or AJ?
Yeah. I would.
Okay. I would need something back because it would hurt my soul.
Because
if you want next year's first, I will give that. I will sign off in 2 seconds for that.
I look at it as because I look at what DK did with Geno Smith, and that's why. That's fair. That's so fair. That's a legitimate thing you have to keep in mind is that he legit still produced with Geno Smith, and for that, we as Jets fans watch Geno Smith on this team, you know,
Facts.
So I can actually be okay with that. And these are the exception because I look at them as they're young, they can be on this team for a long time. They've been healthy for the most part, right?
Facts.
I can actually say, okay, a 10th round pick, I wouldn't like it. Like I'm not thrilled about it, but in these negotiations, you have to do something that's a little uncomfortable. But if you're telling me for AJ Brown, DK Metcalf, fine, because even though you're not pushing in for the sense of being a championship, this team, I can at least rationalize saying I'm getting guys who are healthy, young, haven't reached their prime yet, and they're just top end wide receiver talents, and they're massive difference makers on the field. Can Deebo Samuel be a difference maker on the field? Yes, when he's healthy. When he's healthy. You know, if we're talking about not taking guys in the draft because we don't know if they're healthy at 10, right? That was Jameson Williams. So that's one, like
Trey Burks.
That logic has to come here. Yeah, Trey Burks.
I promise you, the Jets love Trey Burks. I don't care what anybody says. I've been looking through the stats.
The Knicks love Trey Burks too.
And I don't know if the Knicks do. They like Alec Burks. I don't know if they love Trey Burks. I really truly believe that Burks really fits into the system very well, but they're not going to do it for the 10th. That's a move down situation, in my opinion.
Okay. But for AJ Brown, I'm going to stick with it. AJ Brown, DK, I would move the 10 for it. The more I thought about it.
Nobody else, and you're not drafting wide receiver, right? That's our final verdict.
I'm not drafting a wide receiver at 10. I know everyone's like, we need a wide receiver. The whole look at how the Jets are operating. Just honestly look at this. They're trying to trade picks to get a wide receiver. They're not desperate. They're looking for someone that can make an impact now.
I love it.
At 10, I don't see it. I just do not see it.
We're on the same page here. I love that.
Obviously, because we were like, well, I see this guy. Obviously, we could be wrong. Obviously, there's going to be some guy that
we're not wrong,
see.
Bro. We're not wrong. We can't be wrong here. We can't be wrong. We know Joe Douglas. That's what I'm trying to say. We know Joe Douglas. I cannot see it happening, man. Something dramatic is going to have to happen. If all these wide receivers
they have to really love somebody as a wide receiver at 10. They'd have to
we have a pretty high second round pick, man. Like there is going to be a wide receiver.
That one is going to be a wide receiver.
Like it could be Sky Moore is going to be there if Christian Watson falls. He's going to be the talk of the town, you know. But of course, everyone now has him as a first round pick guaranteed, right? He's one of the 50 in the guaranteed. That was just a 6th round pick 4 weeks ago. So he had a great.
This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying when we do even mock drafts, like we just don't know what's going to happen, and some of the strangest things have happened during drafts. Someone's going to take out of position. It just happens.
True, like Leatherwood. I'll never forget that. But before we get on to the draft fully, Greg, video producer Greg, you got any thoughts on this wide receiver talk, man? We mentioned AJ Brown or DK for the 10th pick. Is that how you feel about the other players? Would you trade the 10th pick for that?
I heard Greg is all in on Tyler Lockett and was willing to trade the 4th rounder for Tyler Lockett.
No, you're crazy. They're never gonna move Lockett. I mean, I love Lockett, but because of his
can't.
contract, they can't move him. But because of his play, because of his deep down the field threat. Before your question about would you go Deebo or Tyreek Hill, I think I'm leaning Tyreek Hill just because we need someone to stretch the field at this point. We have more. We have Barrios. We got 2 good tight ends, which I think a lot of people are forgetting when it comes to we need pass catchers. We need help. So we need our deep field threat at this point, I think, from the wide receiver position. The one thing that you guys said that kind of threw me off a little bit was about the 49ers and kind of punting on the season or burning the season. And I just have such a tough time with that because they were in the conference championship last year. They were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. And they're in such a weird spot because I feel like the narrative is, and I think it's true, a good narrative, that they're not all in on Jimmy G. And now they're not all in on their quarterback. They have a wishy-washy situation with their number 1 wide receiver. How do they fix that? I don't know how they fix that.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like, we've seen them in the Super Bowl twice within the last 4 to 5 years. Like, twice. Not back-to-back, but twice with Jimmy G. Yep. And, no, sorry, not in the Super Bowl.
Conference championship.
Conference championships, thank you. But you see that there's a cap with what Jimmy G can do. You just see it.
Yeah.
And they drafted Trey Lance. This is like the perfect opportunity to say, we're resetting the clock. Okay, we are resetting the clock. As John pointed out, they're not going to get rid of Shanahan. They love Shanahan. It's not going to happen.
I love Shanahan.
Everyone loves Shanahan. All right. He's going to have a long career like his pops, who also did. I don't think his pops actually did his pops win a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
he did with the Broncos, right? He did with Elway, right? I'm not going crazy.
Terrell Davis.
Yeah, pretty much everyone but Atlanta fans love Kyle Shanahan.
Yes.
Which, to be fair, I would feel exactly the same.
Yeah,
probably.
But dude, the whole team has changed. Like they lost the coaching staff. They came to us, which we like to mention. They just lost Laken Tomlinson, their starting left guard, which is, by all accounts, even Deebo Samuel's guy. He was really upset that they lost Tomlinson. He tweeted about that. Solomon Thomas, their second overall pick, he's now a Jet. Quan Alexander, he just visited the Jets. I mean, they're not that same team.
Yeah, and this is why I feel like that this is a prime opportune time for the 49ers to reset the clock. You got Trey Lance. You can move full steam ahead with that. Deebo just requested a trade. Okay, let's go young. Let's work it all around. Now we have a chance to redo this. Trade Jimmy G at his highest value right now. He is at his highest value right now. Just went to the Super Bowl, lost.
Nobody
Pat
wants
Mahomes.
him. That's the rumor. That's the rumor. Nobody wants him.
Sure, you see the limitations, but if you hold on to him, what are you going to get?
To be honest with you, I think they're waiting for an injury. I think they're waiting for some sort of injury, and they'll get rid of him. Also, don't rule out draft day. I could still see some trades go down on draft day, especially if they trade Deebo.
Yeah, I think if they trade Deebo too, like you're looking at the Panthers, you're looking at the Saints, maybe some of these other teams that are just getting desperate at this point, leading up to the
Panthers,
draft.
Dude.
Talk
Panthers
about desperate. McAdoo has no idea who's starting a quarterback over there. He's all over.
And I could see Shanahan taking Darnold too, being like, "Okay, what's up? What do you got?"
Yeah, so I mean, to round out my thoughts on it, I don't know if I would trade a 10 at this point for AJ or DK, but. And I also don't know if I would package the same deal for Deebo. I feel like at this point,
it's too much.
Yeah, I feel like they kind of like Deebo's got him in a bad spot where now everyone knows he wants out. So maybe
he was liking himself in Cowboy jerseys today.
So maybe a second, a third, and a fourth instead of 2 seconds and a third, or maybe some swaps at that point too. I know the 49ers don't have a first round.
Why
pick.
would he even want to go down to Dallas? They got CeeDee Lamb. They got Amari Cooper.
Fun, bro. Cooper's gone.
Oh, that's right. He is gone.
Yeah,
Cleveland.
Gallup.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
They just signed Gallup.
Yep.
The problem is, how are they going to afford him? They're not. They have to trade Zeke. And if anyone wants to take Zeke, I'm sure any team would. The Cowboys would sign off in 2 seconds. This contract's crazy.
Yep.
So would you? Okay, so you're not trading the package for Deebo. You're not trading the 10th pick for any of the wide receivers. Are you drafting one?
At this point, I kind of feel like 10 or early in the second round. I think so. I think early in the second round is for sure. 10's kind of tough because I think there's an opportunity for us to get. We'll talk about it, I guess, next week or whatever. But I think there's an opportunity for us to get either Sauce and a defensive lineman or offensive lineman there. Either
we're talking about that today, man. We're talking about that today.
So I mean, I think I think we could go Icky in the 4 at the 4 spot and Sauce at the 10. If Sauce isn't there, we could get Jermaine Johnson, and we're in a great spot. Yes, wide receiver is still in need, but we have so many picks later on. We can address it later on because I don't think wide receivers is as big of an I don't think the Jets and Joe Douglas are as panicked about wide receivers as Jets fans are. That's my final thought on the wide receivers.
Dude, I'm so damn happy that you said that because the rumors going on or the stigma going on or the narrative going on is the Jets staff, they know way more than the Jets fans, and they are way lower on the cornerbacks than us. And we said, okay, maybe they know something, that they see more, about Hall and the boys and, Echols and all of them. And maybe they are more of 2-3, 3-4s instead of 2-3s. Okay, we'll buy it. Then to jump to the linebacker stuff, right? I'm an idiot because I'm desperate for a linebacker. Apparently the Jets are okay with their linebacker situation. I can't understand it, but okay. They said they're fine. Their linebackers are fine. Way more that, they see as way more of a need. On the other hand, Jets fans think the defensive line is good, right? I'm putting, I'm generalizing a little bit, but they think their defensive line, not the edge. We all know about the edge, but they think their defensive line's pretty good, right? We just sent Franklin Myers, Q Will, but then we, losing, the guys we lost this offseason, we're looking for a nose tackle. So I think, they're saying the Jets, they're higher on that aspect, than most Jets fans are. Okay, I'm buying all of that stuff. I'm buying it all. But then you tell me that the Jets are desperate for a wide receiver and the fan, and the fans are all over and the Jets agree. It makes no sense to me. Not only did we sign Corey Davis to a crazy contract, not only did we sign Berrios to a pretty good deal for especially a number 4 guy, right? We just spent the second round pick on Elijah Moore and we love him. Where is the desperation? We just signed 2 pass catching tight ends, like you mentioned, and they block. And we signed the fullback. And we have Michael Carter. I know that sounds pedestrian to, general NFL fans, but I just call me crazy, call me a homer, call me, injected with hopium, like we always get on the Knicks pod. But I don't see this desperate 10th pick need, especially when you just have a little bit of perspective. Look at our, I won't say our offensive line is desperate. I'll say our offensive line and wide receiver kind of on the same level of desperation. They could be improved with a huge guy, huge 1 or 2 guys, but it's not a desperate need. Safety, we have plug-in guys, but I'm going to say it's a need. Okay, I'm not going to say it's a desperate need, but I'm going to say it's a need. Edge rusher is a desperate need. Linebacker, I'm still calling it a need. I don't care what anyone says. And cornerback 1 is a desperate need. We have 2 of those things in the top 10. You can get your edge rusher, you can get your cornerback, or you can improve your offensive line. Especially because we have Joe Douglas. All he does is want to draft a line. And we have Robert Saleh. All he wants is a line and a cornerback. I mean, I couldn't agree more. And we did the mock draft last week with the worst case scenario. It was Jermaine Johnson being there left at 10, and we got Tibbs early. And then Gardner's gone. And Icky's gone. That sucks, dude. That sucks. I'm totally with you, Greg, and I want to hear your thoughts, Alex. For me, if Ikem is there, it's definitely the pick at 4. If he's gone, it's got to be Sauce. If both of them are gone, I'm having a tough time because then Hutchinson or Walker are there. I think he's the pick, and then we just figure it out at 10, and forget Jermaine Johnson. So that's how I'm going. So for me, the hierarchy is Ikem if he's there. If Ikem is gone, you got to take Sauce Gardner, number 2. If they're both gone, then you take whatever defensive end is there because there's only 3 spots, guys. Okay, there's only 3 spots ahead of where you pick 4. So if those guys are gone, then it's going to be Hutchinson 1 and Walker down to the Jets at 4. No problem.
Ooh. I think at 4, they'd probably take Sauce over Ikem still. I
If
think
they're
so.
both available.
I think so. I think you go corner
Interesting.
over offensive line just because, as you said, our offensive line's pretty sturdy right now. And if there's anything that needs to be done, which we've discussed that by the way, breaking little interruption right here. Celtics are up by 94-92 against the Brooklyn Nets right now with about 7.5 left in the fourth quarter. But I'm going Sauce Gardner because the offensive line's pretty sturdy right now. If anything, and we've discussed this on the pod, Tyler Linderbaum could be available later, and they could go after him later in the draft.
He's got short arms, bro. He's got short arms.
Hey, man, but he's still ranked.
That's the problem right now.
Okay. Yeah.
So here's the question. Alex, here's the question. And, this is going to go into your point. Are you picking on need or best player available? Because that's Sauce Gardner versus Ikem. Ikem is the best player, according to the Jets and most draft pundits and analysts. And Gardner is the need. So how are you picking at number 4? And does that change for you going on to other picks in the draft? I'm curious about the way you want to draft.
Change. I mean, it slightly changes because if you're taking a need, that means you're not using the latter picks for a need. You may be going for talent. I mean, it can go either way, but I think, it's so difficult at this point because I get the whole aspect of taking Ikem at 4 if he's there and they like him. Totally understandable. My thing is, what does it mean for everybody else on the line? Because now you have a stack.
Gone. Font's not getting re-signed, or Becton's going to get traded. It's whoever. If Ikem could play right, if they want to go left, if Becton wants to go right, we know Font hates the right. Even though he plugged in and he's on a contract year, and he's looking for left tackle money. He knows that he's not an idiot. He's a veteran. So I agree. It's gonna cause tension. So that's why it's best player available and not a need type deal.
I could see it. I'm not saying it's definite that they probably go Gardner. I think they go Gardner in this case. I think they try to make it, but if they like Ikem, I guess I could see it going that way, especially if you want to move off a Font and Ikem could play anywhere. Like I could see that too. It's tough.
You think that means Jermaine Johnson's at 10?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure if I've convinced you about that, but I honestly at this point I can't even see another player being taken at 10.
I think Jermaine Johnson at 10 is like the most likely outcome for the Jets because they like him. I think they're comfortable with him instead of going with Tibbs. It's
not going to be there at 10.
Yeah, because exactly. And he's still good enough that you can take him at 10. So I'm pretty dead set on that. It's just 4 for me because I could see it going either way. I could see them going need. I can also see them going best player available, which is actually still also a need. Because if you're going to lose Font, that's still a need in the future, right?
Well, they wouldn't. I think we would re-sign him if not.
Yeah, obviously, but I'm saying if you take him,
sure,
it's because you're predicting that Font doesn't want to stay here because he's not going to be playing the left side, and so forth. So
yeah, I think Becton might move to the right. He was better. He was good on the right in college. So we'll see. Yeah. We'll definitely.
You're selling me on Ikem if he's there at 4 that they're taking him.
I just don't think they want a cornerback that bad. I know that we do, but just number 4 is crazy, dude. It's crazy. And there is some rumors about the Jets looking at Stingley. I know that sounds crazy. I know he was injured all last year. I know we don't like that. But, dude.
He's someone that I feel like could drop.
There's something about LSU and taking a year off that just – I don't know if it's because of, Jefferson and Chase. But he did so well in the 40 that I feel like they entertain some sort of trade down to and get Stingley if he's there, or like say the worst case scenario if we get Ikem and then everybody goes, including Jermaine Johnson somehow, like no Malik Willis, and Jermaine Johnson gets taken too, and we're sitting there with our hands in our pockets at number 10. I could see us taking Stingley. You know what I mean? Just like, hey guys, everyone else is gone. He's the best player available. It does fulfill our need, and here we are. But then we're gonna be desperate for a pass rusher. Probably get Boye Mafe if he makes it to the second round or something.
Yeah, I mean, Greg, what are your thoughts on the 4 position? Do you think it's Ikem or do you think it's Sauce?
Yeah, what's your top 3 too? Give me a third. Give me a third guy. If somehow, some way, Do you agree with me that it's going to be Walker or Hutchinson? Because those are the top 4 here.
I think so. I think there's a shot that Walker drops just because he's like a splashy name that moved up in like a lot of mock drafts. So sometimes that stuff can be just misleading. Just like Kayvon Thibodeau dropping a ton can also be pretty misleading. Like he was the number 1 guy for so long that it's kind of tough to imagine a couple comments and interviews and stuff drop him 10 spots in the NFL draft. So yeah, I think for us at 4, the only problem that I'm having with Icky is like, say Becton's back and healthy. Are we really going to draft someone at 4 and just put him on the bench to start the season?
No, I legit think Font would be gone immediately. Or
You have to. You have to move him. You have to.
One of them would have to be gone. Like Becton with all that like stuff going on.
Because think about
Font.
it.
His trade value is so low now, though, because he hasn't played.
I know.
So that's why I don't think it would be Becton. I think it'd be Font because his trade value is pretty solid for playing left tackle last season. Like that.
He's a veteran. He can go to a real team. He can go to the Chargers. They don't have a right tackle. Be like, bro, we're a Super Bowl team. Play right tackle. Like, all right. You know what I mean? If he did that for the Jets at first, like he's not gonna love it, but he's be like, all right, like this team could legit win the championship.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's why I think if they did draft Ikem, you're moving Font immediately to get some sort of value because you don't want to go into training camp being like, well, we have a tackle controversy right now, even though it's not as ridiculous as a quarterback controversy. I don't think you need that type of tension in the locker room. If you're drafting Ikem at 4, he is starting. Anyone drafted at 4 is starting.
Definitely.
I
You like
I don't
Sauce,
care.
though, huh, Greg?
Yeah, I like Sauce too, but again, it's the problem with
Damn it.
the problem with Sauce is just like it doesn't seem again like the Jets with Joe Douglas and Saleh and everything that they've said. It doesn't seem like they feel like we even need. Like you guys keep saying we need a a CB1. It's like we got our CB1.
With Reed?
With Reed. We brought him in. We have Hall at 2. We have
Nice.
Eccles at 3. We have Michael Carter the third at nickel or whatever it is. He's going to be filling in.
You're right.
So I don't know if we need it. I think if he's there at 10 and we already got our defensive line or offensive line at 4, it's like okay, like we could use Sauce at 10.
He's not making it past the Giants twice.
But exactly, other teams have higher needs and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I think Jermaine Johnson at 10 is obviously the thing. I think if Jermaine Johnson's not there, to John's point, it's like, okay, we might take Stingley because he's the best guy available. I think that's a prime opportunity for us instead of taking Stingley to take a wide receiver and just be like, hey, like we took the best wide receiver that's available at 10. He might be the first wide receiver in the draft, depending on how the board falls. So we got literally the best guy at a position for a position of need for us at some point. Because again, Corey Davis is gone in a year or two.
Yeah.
We don't know
This might be
what.
Corey Davis's last year with the Jets for sure.
Yeah, so we're gonna need someone to fill that role next year. Gives him a year to learn, and who knows? I mean, some of these guys could be studs. The measurables and stuff that are coming out of the combine and the tape that they put out all last year. A lot of these guys, they could be studs. So I think that's a prime example of if Jermaine Johnson's not there at 10, we already got a lineman, whether offensive or defensive lineman, in the first and the fourth pick. At 10, I think that opens up a wide receiver pick for us there.
Okay. I'm going to say that, just a little preview for Winning Picks Weekly draft episode. Kyle Hamilton for me, I'm taking under 11.5. No matter what it is, even if it's a minus number, I'm taking that bet because there's no chance he's going to make it past 11 with Washington. But let me ask you if he's available there. Like you could take the wide receiver, and I could see the Jets if everyone's gone and they got Ikem, or if they got Sauce at 4, I could see them, maybe just deferring to the wide receiver if the trade market just isn't going to work out. I could see it. I can be convinced. But what about Kyle Hamilton? Is it like he's going to go just a pick later, in my opinion, at the max? Like, are you guys even thinking that, or are you just like, yo, you can't not take a wide receiver when at some point the fan base doesn't control, but they do control. Like, we're going to freak out if we draft a safety at 10 and the top wide receiver is there and we don't have a wide receiver. You know what I mean?
I don't know if they take Colin. I don't like. We do need a safety.
It's not desperate.
I mean,
it's not
if
desperate.
if he's at 10, you got some real consideration at taking Kyle Hamilton to 10. Like, honestly, you can't. He's a talent, like a legitimate talent. Like, if you want to talk about there's need Like, yeah, we need a defensive end to help with the edge, but Kyle Hamilton, that talented, you let him drop that far? That's tempting, man.
He's gonna go 11 at the max. And
Oh,
we
for
did sign
sure.
Vinny Curry. I mean, he wasn't able to play last year, but the Jets were really disappointed when he got diagnosed with that little injury. So hopefully he's back. Hopefully Carl Lawson's back. I know we keep forgetting about him, but he's a real player. I still think we're gonna get Tyus Jones somewhere in there. Hopefully Chad Muma still comes. I mean, I'm so excited about this draft. I'm very anxious though about the first 2 picks. I don't know if it's because I'm gonna be at MetLife and I feel like something bad's gonna happen. Because everything always bad happens when I'm at MetLife. That's like a constant in my life.
I'll blame you. Don't worry, I'll blame you.
Dude, bad things happening.
I blame you for the Knicks season, by the way.
That's fine. That's fine, bro. Nothing good happens. I went to every damn playoff game. We won one of them. We did celebrate like we won the championship. So that was fun. But yeah, at some point, dude, it can't be me. Like, it's so funny.
No, Greg's
like,
next in line.
we shout out to Bob Nightingale. We blame every single thing on him, right? That famous sports, New York sports writer. Everything he says is a mush. But like at some point, it's just us. We just suck. So,
sheesh.
I mean, both of our teams are pretty bad. We're still hanging on to a couple playoff wins from a decade ago as Jets fans. So, we have every time there's a no playoff stat, huh?
I remember those times.
Yeah, dude. I mean, looking at it right now, our wins are over 5.5. And there's 17 games in the season, so we're obviously not even projected to make the third wild card game again. So we got to keep the expectations low for now. We got 2 top 10 picks for a reason. One of those reasons is because we suck. The other reason is because we have a really good GM. So I'm really excited about how this NFL draft goes, man. Do you guys have final thoughts here? Any guy on the bottom? I mean, Chad Muma is obviously my guy. The tight end, likely, or the tight end from UCLA. I'm not going to say his name right. Durkic or whatever. My mind's in basketball. Do you guys have any other thoughts? What's up?
They said Dirk Nowitzki. What?
Yeah, Doncic, Nurkic, all the chiches.
Jokic.
Poor the Joker. Hope he wins next game. Greg, any final thoughts here? Alex, you got final thoughts?
Honestly, man, I don't really have final thoughts. I think what we've discussed is essentially what's the thought process going on right now in the war room.
What's your most interesting, I can't wait to see where this one guy goes. For me,
one player?
Yeah,
it's Kyle Hamilton, in all honesty. Like I'm thinking about Kyle, like where is he going to go? Because we look at the top draft, we do the mock drafts. We even did our own mock draft. And we had Kyle Hamilton going so low. So where is he going?
Shout out last episode.
Because he is considered a top talent, top defensive back, right? Top safety. But yet, even through our mock drafts, we know it's not the Jets where they've usually mocked him too. So it's not going to be there. Where is he going? I want to know. Like, I legitimately want to know because they have him as a top 10. I feel like he's the guy that's going to be out of the top 10. And we're going to be like, yo, how did he drop so far? And it's like, I don't know, guys. We watch everybody just jump up the draft board every single year. It's too early. That's why mock drafts at the beginning, I got to wait for 4.0, 5.0 because those are probably more closely accurate to what's going to happen in the draft.
It's funny you say that. Nothing makes me more angry than the mock drafts that come out the day after the draft for next year. I hate those more than anything in the world.
Those suck. Those suck.
That's
funny. Just the reason why, and this is why I'm saying like the NFL offseason, even though there's been a lot of action, it's bad because it's very long. Once February hits, you have like a week or so of free agency. The draft, depending on what team you're rooting for, as Jets fans, we're already thinking once Halloween comes around, it's like, all right, who we drafting, where we drafting, what's prairie we get these spots. And then it just takes forever to get here. And then once the draft's done, you're waiting for OTAs, you're waiting for training camp. And then we don't have anything after this from April. We don't have anything until really August. That's really, truly tangible to watch.
Yeah.
And so it's just rough. It is really, really rough.
That's That's why this is the most wonderful time of the year, man.
And to get to my point, that's why that draft stuff sucks. It's really just trying to create content because there's nothing going on. So it's like, hey, let's do next year's mock draft. It's like, bro, we just legitimately did the draft. I'm not even college football isn't
Rookies
started
haven't
yet.
reported yet.
No, like what are we doing?
I feel you. And we don't have a rookie head coach, so they're not gonna be able to come in early like they did last year. That mini rookie head coach camp, which I think is cool that the NFL does. But now that we're on the other side of that, totally not fair. All teams should have the same privileges, right? So
everyone needs to, shout out to Fred Katz who wrote that Tibbs article today, and on the kids and like having the practice before practice. That's what we need in the NFL. Come on, guys. Come on.
Facts. Greg, any last thoughts on this NFL draft?
Final thoughts for me are going to be like whatever we don't do in the first round, like say we go offensive lineman and defensive lineman, I think you can almost pencil in second round. We're going wide receiver and safety. So I think that's why probably Hamilton's not for us at 10 because I think there's a good amount of safeties on the back half of the first round, early second round, where we can find one guy there to fill in for the one spot that we need at safety because we brought someone in. And then guys that I'm interested to see, dude, I'm really interested. It's the injury guys. Jamison Williams was the number one consensus wide receiver going into the season through, I don't know, was it 15, 16 weeks all the way to the championship game, tears his ACL. Rumors are now that he's running and everything like that, but can he cut? When can he really get on the field? I'm really interested to see that. I mean, that was a heartbreaker for us because if he was available, I think he would be a perfect guy at 10.
That's true.
And then Stingley, like I said, I had text messages going back 2 years being like, we need to get the Stingley guy. I'm interested to see where he goes. And then finally, it's the D lineman, I'm going to butcher his name, from Michigan that tore his Achilles in his pro day.
I don't want him, dude.
No, but I'm interested to see how far he goes.
Punting.
Is he going to second round? Is he going late second round? Like, he was a 15 to 18 draft guy. And now
go to the Patriots and ruin our lives, obviously.
Oh my god!
From year 2 to 7.
So those are my final thoughts.
I hate John's Patriots predictions because they come true. I really hate them,
dude. This team is so freaking predictable. It's nuts.
I don't know why you have such a good pulse on the Patriots. You actually need to be a beat reporter for the Patriots. You'd be the best one out there.
Much that I have to pay attention to them. When you keep the saying, keep your enemies closer. That's a complete fact when it comes to.
Why do you think I moved out here, bro?
keeping an eye on those pesky Red Sox.
Good Lord. Been keeping an eye on Bill Belichick, Celtics, Red Sox, making sure to report back so that way we know what they're doing. But yeah, man. I mean, if you report on the Patriots, they probably hate you because you'd be the most honest one. Everyone out here is just sucking up to Bill Belichick.
Well, why do you think you're so great? Ever. That's why I think he might get a Habbo.
But the joke is that the reporter's like, you did such a great job, man. Like you did a really excellent job drafting. It's like, bro, he's never done a good job drafting. What are we doing out here?
And he had a horrible offseason last year. And now this year they're paying Aguilar $1 bazillion to not.
What's funny? The Boston beat when it comes to the Patriots is the complete opposite of like the New York beat in general. Just in general. New York is because
they win, bro. That's a fact. It's because they win. Listen, when the Yankees were winning, you couldn't say one damn bad word about Derek Jeter. He was literally going out, doing things with girls, giving them gift baskets. Like, oh no, it's fake, bro. It's fake. He was like the worst person ever. To all the media members outside of the reports. It's like, yo, dude, it's Derek Jeter. He wins championships. Shut your mouth.
But the thing is, it's not even that. It's not even that. It's like he's a single man living in New York City, playing as one of the best players in the Yankees.
Got absolutely roasted after Mono. It was a tabloid that he was going out. Remember that was like a story. It was like week 11. It was like, oh yeah,
but the difference is when that was reported by DJ, he's already had 5 rings, seasoned king of New York. Jordan did shit. Like, let's be real.
That's what I'm saying. It's all about winning. It's all about winning, man. That's what controls it all. For me, my last notes are I'm very interested to see where Tibbs ends up. I think it's going to be as a New York Giant, but I'm very interested to see
another Tibbs in blue.
Another Tibbs in blue, man. I really do think that's going to happen. He seems like such a giant. Evan Neal seems like such a giant. Both of those players. I'm very, very, very curious as to what happens with Stingley. I think he's going to be very good. The wide receivers, obviously, but I'm going to tell you, my number one most interested person, dude, Christian Watson. It's going to really forge my opinion on offseason smoke. The guy who literally went from 6th round pick to maybe he's going to be a day 2 guy because of the Senior Bowl. Nothing happened in between, and all of a sudden he's a top 10 pick. Okay, so I have to see what happens with him. He's going to really, shape my meter over like what to believe in the offseason. So
Yeah.
And the tip stuff too, like all these things, they kind of they're measures for me. But that's it for me, dude. I'm so hyped. I'm gonna be mostly excited about what happens for the Jets in this draft. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna be hyped. So I can't wait.
Yeah, man. I can't wait either. It's gonna be interesting. It's next week, man. NFL draft is next week. So we'll see what happens. We'll gladly see what happens. But yo, John, Greg, on that note, I think this is a good place to wrap it up.
Yeah,
so
Smart just wrapped this game.
Marcus Smart just wrapped this game. Celtics, they made a comeback, bro. They made a comeback. But you know what? We'll make a comeback next week. Don't worry. When we talk about more draft stuff.
We might have to do a post-game draft night emergency pod because we're either going to be crying or hyped after that Thursday draft, man.
We'll see how alive you are since you'll be there in person. We'll see what happens. Hopefully that beard makes it out alive from there.
Dude, Gotham City Crew's having a pregame for the draft. It might get wild out there, dude. I hope there's nice weather.
That's what I said. We'll see if your beard makes it back.
We'll see what happens.
All right. And on that note, thank you to our listeners for tuning in. As always, we appreciate it. This is another Jets episode of the Knicks, Jets, Etc. podcast. We're wrapping it up. You guys know what to do. If you listen to this podcast and you haven't done so already, please subscribe. We're on Apple, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon, Alexa, Stitcher, you name it. We are there. If you listen to us to Apple or Spotify, please make sure to give us a 5-star rating. And if you listen to us on Apple, please make sure to leave a comment. We're on YouTube as well. So make sure to look for Knicks, Jets, etc. period. Subscribe, hit that notification bell. That way you know when a new episode drops. And when you watch a video, hit the like button, leave a comment. Let us know what you're thinking. Add to the conversation. We appreciate it. While we're over there, we also got another podcast, Winning Picks Weekly. John, video producer Greg, our guy Chip Murphy. They go through
NFL draft stuff, bro. NFL draft stuff. I'm hyped for the NFL draft props.
These guys love to bet. If you love to bet, you should do so responsibly. Then tune in to Winning Picks Weekly. These guys got you covered. Basketball, baseball, football, golf, March Madness.
Dude,
you need it.
Updating me on Jordan Spieth all weekend. I was dying laughing.
That is Chip for you. So make sure to check those guys out. And then last and certainly not least, please make sure to follow us on all social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. We are there. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in for another Jets episode of the Knicks, Jets, Etc. podcast. We out.
Let's go Jets.